Okay, I think you're ready. You've done one-step equations, and now it's time to do two-step equations. So we're taking a big step forward today. Haha, algebra humor. Okay, so important things to remember. We use inverse or opposite operations to solve equations. You already know that. If in the initial equation we're adding, you're going to subtract. If we're dividing, you're going to multiply, etc. So you know that. Okay. The next one, whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other to keep it in balance. You know that too. And our goal is to get the x or the variable by itself on one side of the equation. That's always been our goal. That's why we do inverse operations, because whoever's hanging out with the x, we want to get rid of them, right? So we get rid of that number by doing the inverse operation. Okay, so let's label the parts of the equation. This is vocab review. So you've got the coefficient, you've got the variable, and you've got the constant. Remember, the constant is going to be the number that's by itself. And in this case, we're talking about the number that's by itself on the same side of the equal sign as the variable, okay? So we kind of can look at this as two halves, and the equal sign separates the equation into two halves, okay? All right, this is called the divisor, just so you know. All right, so two-step equations, it's just like the name says. We're going to have to do two things. With one step, you did one thing. You either added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided, and then you had your answer. Well, to get the answer or the solution for two steps, we do two things. So let's look at this. What? I just learned one steps. Don't worry, you're going to use what you already know. You're going to be great. Okay. So again, coefficient, variable, and constant. So what's first? You need to break the equation into two steps. So step one will always be either adding or subtracting. You will always start a two-step by adding or subtracting something, the constant, actually, okay? And then step two, you'll always be multiplying or dividing, always. Once you've gotten your addition and subtraction out of the way, then it's time to do multiplying or dividing, and then you're done. Okay, so what do I do first? Again, you're going to add or subtract the constant. What do I do second? You're going to multiply or divide by the coefficient or divisor. Okay, so let's look at this. What's happening now? Remember, our first step is always adding or subtracting the constant. So if we look at this equation, 8x plus 5 is 61. The constant is right here, and it's plus 5. It's a positive 5. Okay, so that's what's happening now. So if our first step is addition here, then we need to do the inverse operation. We need to get rid of this, so we're going to subtract. We're going to do the opposite, just like we always have. Okay? And then this part here, what's happening to the x right here? Well, it's multiplying, right? The coefficient is 8, and so x is multiplying by 8. So our second step is going to be dividing, because that's the opposite of multiplication. So let's see what that looks like. There's our problem. We already said the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the constant that's on the same side of the equal sign as the variable. So if we split this equation in half, where's the constant? Right here. We're adding 5. And what do we do to get rid of it? We do the opposite. We subtract. Okay, so we're going to subtract, and of course we always do that to both sides. These two 5's cancel. I'm going to bring down my 8x because we didn't cancel him out. He's still there. And then I'm just going to do the math on the right side. So that probably looks like something you can handle. It's very similar to what we've been doing. And now we're not done. We don't have our solution yet. We have 8x equals 56. So now step 2. Here we go. 8x equals 56. What do we have here? What's happening? Well, the x is multiplying by the 8. So the opposite of multiply by 8 is divide by 8. So that's what we're going to do. Those 8's cancel, and I have x equals 7. That's my solution. Now I'm done. Let's try another one. 3a minus 8 equals 4. I'm going to pause for just a second and see if you can identify the first step in your own head. Okay. I hope that you remembered the first step is always adding or subtracting the constant. Here's the constant. So it's minus, so we're going to add. Okay, we're going to add 8 to both sides. Those 8s are going to cancel out. That's what we wanted. We're going to bring down our 3a, and then we're going to do the math on the right side. So we end up with 3a equals 12. Okay, so we have now 3a equals 12. Let's do the second step. 3a equals 12. Okay, what's happening with the a? What's happening with the variable? It's multiplying by 3. And the opposite of multiply by 3 is divide by 3. And of course, we have to do that to both sides. So we have a equals 4, and we're done. That's our solution. Let's try another one. So this one, we have some division going on here. So the first one, we're going to add the constant. So it says minus 10. So we have to get rid of that minus 10. We're going to do that by adding 10 to both sides. Okay, those 10s cancel. And then I bring down my m over 5. And then I have 25 because I've done the math here. It's just like when we have multiplication, except we have division. Okay? So we got rid of the 10. Now we have m over 5 equals 25. Step 2, this is division. What is the opposite of division? The opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 5. And then we have m equals 125. Okay? Couple more, we're just going to put them together. Remember, your first step is always adding or subtracting the constant from both sides, inverse operation. Second step, multiply or divide the coefficient or the divisor from both sides, inverse operation. That's what we just did. Okay, so we look at this and we say, I see a constant here of minus 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Correct. Okay, then we're going to simplify it. Those 10s are going to cancel. I'm going to bring down my 3x, and I'm going to do the math on the right side. 3x equals 45, because 35 plus 10 is 45. Last step, what do I need to do? I need to do the opposite of this. This is multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. There we go. These 3's are going to cancel out, and I have x is 15. Okay. Here's another one. So we have a minus 15. We need to add 15 to both sides. Those two 15s cancel out. We have negative 10x. Don't forget to bring down your negatives, okay? Negative 10x equals 60 because we added 45 plus 15. So right now what's happening is the x is multiplying by negative 10. What's the opposite of multiply by negative 10? Divide by negative 10. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 10. These 10s cancel out, and we have x equals 60 divided by negative 10 is negative 6. Okay, so I hope that that is helpful to you. We're going to do one more problem, and then I hope that you can do some on your own. So write this down. Make sure you're doing it with me. Okay, what's your first step? First step is adding 5 to both sides. Okay, these 5's cancel out. We now have negative 4x equals 16. And now what are we going to do next? The x is multiplying by negative 4. We're going to divide both sides by negative 4. And we get x is negative 4. Okay. Alrighty, so I hope that's helpful. I bet you can do a few of these on your own now, so I will leave you some practice.